Title: Boss fires mechanic for fixing old lady's bike. Next morning, 7 black SUVs block his driveway. The sky hung low over Maple Street, cloaking the early morning in shades of gray. A cold wind whispered down the alleyways between rows of shops still groggy from the night. At Mackenzie Auto Repair, the clang of tools and smell of grease filled the air, familiar, grounding, and for 27-year-old Jacob Miller, it was home. He had grease under his fingernails, oil stains that no detergent could lift, and hands calloused from a decade of hard work. But more than that, Jacob had a heart wired to help, even when it didn't make sense to anyone else. It was a quiet Wednesday afternoon when she came in, hunched over, pushing an old, rusty bicycle with a broken chain and a bent front wheel. Her coat was 2 sizes too big, and her shoes looked like they'd walked through every season. "Excuse me, son," she said, her voice fragile as tissue, "could you fix this for me?" Jacob glanced around. The garage was packed, and the owner, Bill Hardman, a man known more for his profits than his people, had made it clear, no free work. But Jacob couldn't look away from the old woman's trembling hands or the hope in her eyes. He smiled. "Give me a minute, ma'am." She watched, eyes wide, as Jacob knelt down, cleaned the rust off the chain, straightened the wheel, and tightened the brakes. "This one belonged to my late husband," she said, almost to herself. "He used to ride it to the bakery every morning. I just wanted to ride it again, once." It took Jacob 45 minutes, a few spare parts, and all the patience he had. But when he was done, the bike rolled smooth as a whisper. The woman's eyes filled with tears. "I have nothing to pay you with," she said, her voice cracking. "You already have," Jacob said, nodding at her smile. He barely got the words out before Bill stormed out of the office, face red. "Jacob, you got paying customers waiting and you're fixing antiques for free?" Bill's voice could strip paint. Jacob stood up, wiping his hands on a rag. "She needed help. And now you need a new job," Bill snapped. Just like that, he was fired. After 5 years of loyalty, 10-hour shifts, and never once taking a sick day, gone. That night, Jacob sat on his small porch, heart heavy, staring out at the empty street. He had rent due, bills piling up, and no idea what tomorrow would look like. His phone was silent. His tools were packed in a crate at his feet. And yet, something in him, a quiet peace, said he'd done the right thing. At 6:30 the next morning, a strange sound woke him. He rubbed his eyes and looked outside. His heart skipped. 7 identical black SUVs lined up like an armored procession, engines humming low, blocking his narrow driveway. The doors opened in sync. Men in tailored suits stepped out. At their center was a woman in a navy blue coat, the same woman he'd helped. Only now, her shoulders were straighter, her presence magnetic. She approached him, flanked by assistants who looked like they'd walked off the set of a corporate thriller. "Good morning, Mr. Miller," she said, her voice now clear and commanding. "Do you remember me?" Yeah. The bike." She nodded. "What you didn't know yesterday is that I'm Evelyn Ross, CEO of Ross Industries." Jacob blinked. The name was familiar. It was plastered across skyscrapers, tech patents, and humanitarian foundations. Billionaire. Philanthropist. Untouchable. "I was incognito," she said, smiling. "It was a test, of sorts. My late husband and I used to believe you could see a person's soul not by how they treat the powerful, but how they treat the forgotten." Jacob swallowed hard. "You passed that test, Mr. Miller." Then she gestured, and one of the assistants handed Jacob a folder. Inside was an offer letter. A position as head of mechanical operations at her foundation's new initiative to refurbish bikes and cars for underprivileged communities across the country. A 6-figure salary. Full benefits. A team under his guidance. "I don't understand," Jacob said, voice hoarse. I was once the girl with broken shoes, Evelyn said. And when someone helped me, it changed my life. I've been searching for people like that, like you. Who help without asking. Who give without expecting. He stared at the letter, the words swimming on the page. Oh, she added, turning to go, and about your old boss. She smiled, slightly mischievous. Let's just say I made a call. The city contract he was so proud of. It's being redirected, to you. The SUVs drove off, leaving Jacob standing on his porch, heart pounding, hope rushing back into his lungs like spring air after a long winter. In the weeks that followed, Jacob's life transformed. He moved into a modest home with space for a garage he would convert into a community repair shop. He hired young apprentices, kids who dropped out, kids with records, kids with no one else willing to give them a shot. And every Sunday, he rode a bike, not just any bike, but the same one he fixed that afternoon, now freshly painted and tuned, a reminder of where it all began. Sometimes, kindness is mistaken for weakness. Sometimes, people who live from the heart are told they're naive, that the world doesn't work that way. But Jacob's story, like so many untold ones, proves that one quiet act of humanity can shake the world awake. Because the truth is, kindness is power. Real power. The kind that doesn't need applause or profit margins. The kind that ripples outward in ways you never expect, and sometimes comes back in 7 black SUVs. And for anyone wondering whether it's worth doing the right thing when no one's watching, remember Jacob. Because someone always is.